dive into with which U.S. entity is best. This is, of course, more detailed. Then we'll get into which state, which is a couple different criteria. It's a little bit simpler. Then I'll provide a summary for you here at the end. So when we talk about business structure, there's some factors that come into mind. Of course, taxes is one of them. Probably one of the most important. You're looking to balance, am I going to have to pay any U.S. taxes? If I do, how does that relate to my home country? And that's, of course, one of the top components. Liability comes into play, of course, because that when you pick which state you're going to incorporate in when it comes to officer and director liability and piercing the entity veil, especially if you're selling products on Amazon. We realize most of you probably don't have product liability insurance. And of course, if you are an individual, which most of you might be, or maybe you have a partner, whether it's a spouse, a partner, or somebody else, that comes into play. Then who's going to be the owner of the U.S. entity? That's a big component. Is that going to be you individually? Is it going to be your foreign entity in another country? Then we have to look at what about U.S. banking? Which state and bank are you going to be looking at? And it does affect it. And I'll talk more in detail in a few minutes about that. Then, are you engaged in a U.S. trade or business or not? There's some articles online about this. We have worked with the U.S. tax attorney, and one of the bonuses you get is access to a webinar with that tax attorney, and we talk about this subject, and I'm going to reference that. Also, tax treaties are critical, and we'll give you the URLs. They're a tax treaty with your country, and we'll talk about a couple of caution tips there. And then, of course, is your country tax professional, meaning, if you have an accountant, they need to be on board because they're signing your tax return in your home country, whether it's an individual or an entity, and they need to be on board that whatever this U.S. company is making or transferring over aligns up. So that's a component also. Some of the common questions we want to address that we go through is what your business structure is, what industry you're in. Are you selling Amazon FBA where you need sales tax permits? Are you selling through Shopify and you drop ship? We want to look at your gross sales, net profits. What are you going to do with that? Are net profits, are you going to leave that in the U.S. or do you want those to flow back to your home country? Obviously, the tax rates between the U.S. and your home country. Do you have any partners? And, of course, tax treaty and country taxation of the U.S. entity is critical also.